On the subject of there's some interesting bits in the national press about this. In the Independent today, there's a long interview with Arthur Scargill, who's at the camp, talking about, and I suppose you might think he's a slightly strange bedfellow. He supports coal being used to generate electricity, not surprisingly, as the former leader of the National Union of Coal Miners. He also says that carbon capture is the solution, although it's an untested, untried, unproven technology up to now, but he says that's the answer, and that by the time the new King's North is built, he believes that that technology will be available. And interesting, on the front page of The Guardian today, slightly tongue-in-cheek, I suspect, he challenges George Monbiot, who we spoke to on this programme a couple of days ago. He's the Guardian reporter who's at the camp as well. And he says, I challenge George Monbiot to test out which is the most dangerous fuel, coal or nuclear power. He says, Arthur Scargill says, I'm prepared to go into a room full of CO2 for 2 minutes if he's prepared to go into a room full of radiation for 2 minutes. Anyway, it's a gauntlet thrown down which is unlikely to be picked up, one suspects. Now, protesters are threatening to shut down a power station in Kent tomorrow by air, land and sea. Organisers of the climate camp near Kingsnorth have spent the week protesting at plans by the company E.ON to build a new coal-fired power plant. Thousands more people are expected to turn up for this weekend's direct action. Well, our reporter Alex Wood is on the farm where the campaigners have pitched their tents on the Hoop Peninsula. Alex.
Good morning, John. That's right. Well, I'm on Islingham Farm, and this is a sheep farm, so there are some 1,000 head of sheep and about 1,500 acres. So when I tell you that here in Wainscott at the actual farmhouse we seem to be 1,000,000 miles away from the camp, that's just a sign of how big the farm itself is. But here with me is Robert Hanks, who's the third generation of farmers to be on this land. So, Robert, you've had these climate protesters pitch up on your land. They're here without permission, aren't they? They are squatting.
They are squatting, yep. They turned up unannounced last week. We first knew about it when a couple of friends rung up, but we were quite a way away from the farm at the time, so by the time we got back, they were pitched. Some of the gates were locked by them. The sheep that we did have in the field had been ushered out by them into the surrounding fields that where the sheep already were. As I say, they actually locked some of the gates to keep other people out. We turned up. A couple of the protesters had radios. They introduced themselves, were civil and apologised for being there, etc., etc. Wanted to know if we wanted to meet up with their hierarchy, but at the time we told them that they weren't welcome. They didn't have permission to be there. We were concerned about the sheep, and we were definitely concerned about if any dogs were on site. Obviously, the sheep were just in the neighbouring field, and we as sheep farmers, we do have trouble with dogs, so we made it plainly clear that any dogs wouldn't be welcome.
So in the intervening week, what sort of issues have you had? I mean, you've got more than 1,000 people in one of your fields. What sort of problems has that caused you?
Since they've arrived and the sheep have been moved, it hasn't caused us major problems. The sheep they've just about got enough grass where they've been moved to. So yeah, operationally the problems haven't been that great. The field is an outlying field on the farm, so from where the actual farm and our buildings are, we don't actually have to look at the protesters every day. So yeah, we are concerned what sort of a state the site will be left in when they all decamp and move off this weekend, but that remains to be seen. If we've been assured by them that it should be spotless, but and I've been told by local liaisons with the police and with the protesters that dustbins have been provided by the council. I believe we was also concerned about the water because we've got water supply to the sheep up there. We were concerned that they might vandalise and damage that to get their own water, but apparently Southern Water have laid on water for them, which is an obligation they had. So yeah, we'll see what happens when they leave.
Now, people have been talking a lot about the level of police involvement, how the police are handling it. What's been your experience of working with the police, and what do you think of how much of a presence there is up there?
Yeah, we've had umpteen phone calls and face-to-face meetings with some of the liaison officers. So yeah, I say they're on the outlying fields, and operationally we're not really that involved now, but so that, you know, the police are totally involved. I suppose I've spoken to the police at least every day, if not every other day, as they've been working out their plan, what they want to do. The police have been removing the gates from what gates there are left around the field, so that I've been told, so that they can keep access points open supposedly for the police and other emergency vehicles. It's all health and safety. We've been led to believe they need access to the site in case of emergencies and in case of health emergencies, etc., etc. So yeah, we've been kept informed by the police, but as to the searching of everyone and all that's going on with the so-called heavy-handedness, we haven't. I say we've seen it in the news, and I don't know. There's certainly a lot of police there, but they probably know what can happen in these instances. You get 1,000 protesting peacefully and having their little workshops, and then you get the other 50 that no doubt in their own minds are ready to cause some serious trouble as and when. And obviously I appreciate that the police probably know more than what we do, or at least they're expecting there to be some heavy trouble.
Robert, can I just ask you, when you went up there and they'd moved into your field, did you actually ask them to leave?
When we got there, they were there setting up their big marquees. We did ask them to leave. We told them that they weren't welcome, as I say, and we were mainly concerned about the dogs. But basically, once they were in there, there was absolutely no way that we were physically going to push them off. And as it turns out, everyone thought they were going to be nearer the power station, and we got some friends down that way, and we were concerned, and they were concerned that they might do a lot more damage to my friend's vegetable crops. Because
so they've obviously picked a field apart from the sheep, which they moved. The sheep you were telling us, yeah,
that's right. Yes.
Yeah, and they moved them quite satisfactorily, did they?
Well, yeah, I suppose so.
They
were moved when we arrived,
yeah.
So
Okay.
yes.
So I suppose we're really waiting to see what the place is like when they move out, isn't it? That's the big thing now.
Yeah, that's what we're concerned about. Exactly. I mean, yeah, obviously we don't think there should be any damage because it's a boundary fence, so they shouldn't have any cause to damage any of the boundary fence. But obviously, at the moment, the gates have been removed. We understand they're digging some small holes because they've all got these eco fires for cooking and all that sort of thing, and the rubbish. So all I can say is that we're concerned, but we'll see what happens on Sunday.
Okay, Robert and Alex, thank you very much indeed for joining us this morning. That is Robert Hanks. He's the farmer where the eco it's climate camp, isn't it? Is pitched on in one of his fields, quite away from his farmhouse, as you heard, but there without permission. That's the point we should make, really.